Critical hit Punch All Nazis takes place in the early days of World War II and combines high adventure with cosmic horror. All dates, locations, and historical events are thrown out the window in order to create a fun story, so don't put too much thought into historical inaccuracies. All accents are done poorly, but with love, and no disrespect is intended. Last time
on Critical Hit.
Oh, everyone, let me introduce you to Monty Smith. Monty Smith is an explorer. Now you must stay away from the Forbidden City.
By the way, Valentino, I've been meaning to apologize for burning you. We are basically here to look for part number 1 of the rhyme.
So as you get ready to go to see the performance of the Great 880, I want to point out to you that there are a lot of things that are going to be going on simultaneously all around you. There's just a lot that's going to be coming up. And so at any point, if anybody figures out a skills challenge, if anybody knows a skills that they would like to do or test, by all means, interrupt and do it, providing that it's appropriate, right?
Sure.
So, you've got all of these skills that you can combine. You've got these abilities and skills that you can combine to do some pretty cool things. And so I'm going to kind of challenge you a little bit to try for each of you to use at least one, if not more. Everybody good with that? Yeah. It's not a skills challenge. It's just, here's an opportunity with a lot of things going on around you to practice using some skills that you may or may not have gained in your week and a half that you have been involved in the Secret War.
It's not a skills challenge. I'm just challenging to use your skills.
Yes, exactly.
Wait a minute.
All right. So how's everybody dressed? Are you all dressed up and cleaned up, or are you just going in what you were wearing earlier, which may be a little dirty or bloody or whatever?
I think.
No.
Yeah, we need to clean up.
Okay, so you clean up, you look presentable, and it's probably a good thing that you do want to look presentable, because the theater where the Great NATO's performance is taking place is this grand theater called the Heliopolis Theater. It's located near the heart of Cairo. It's nestled among the city's bustling streets and new architecture, along with old architecture. The Heliopolis Theater was built in 1887 to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee. This was only 5 years after the British took control of Egypt. The exterior is a blend of European and Egyptian architectural styles. There's intricately carved sandstone facades. There's domes. There's minarets. The theater entrance is adorned with this grand archway, leading you into a luxurious marble library. Obviously, the name Heliopolis is inspired by the ancient Greek city, which is actually at this point kind of a suburb, slowly being enveloped by Cairo, called the City of the Sun. So it's probably a good reason that you do want to look a little bit presentable as you go to the theater. There is actually a line at the theater when you get there. There are people, some of them dressed, to the nines. They're wearing top hats and, tuxedos. The women with fancy furs around their necks and jewels being, shown on display to kind of just show off their wealth among everyone else. But, unfortunately, there are, beggars in the streets, and there are children who are, half clothed running around just because of the great discrepancy between those that have and those that have not. As you are getting there, why doesn't everyone roll me an observation plus insight? Okay, so Blisco succeeds. Dutch gets an extra one. Brian gets an extra one.
I rolled that wrong. I didn't type the first two.
Ah, okay.
Do you want me to re-roll? Or
Yes,
just
please
roll an
re-roll.
additional? Okay.
Yeah, just re-roll. And okay, so you get a success. You guys are at maximum momentum now.
I still rolled the same 7.
There you go. Matthew, are you going to roll, please?
1 success.
All right, Matthew has 1 success. So the lines are crowded, and there's people, just pushing and shoving their way. There's a group of children that are running through the crowds, laughing, and they're bumping into each other as you run past. And Dutch, as one of the children passes you, you notice a slight tug at your pocket as the kid runs past.
I'll stick my hand in my pocket to keep my wallet in there or whatever they're trying to get.
Too late. The wallet is already gone.
Okay. So I just noticed that my wallet was gone.
Yeah, you felt the tug as he was lifting it out of your pocket.
Okay. Try to grab him.
Yeah, sure. You grab the kid as he runs past. It's a young boy. You grab his wrist and you spin him around. And, guess who it is? Ah, friends. I was so worried about you when those horrible men attacked us in the alley. You understand. I was only wanted to get out of there as my mother is very sick and I need money for medicine. That is why I wanted to escort you to the Cafe of Kings. I was not my intention to lead you into the alley. You see, I had no idea that they were there.
How old is
he is
Ahmed,
like
right?
10.
Okay. I'm going to say Ahmed, and basically I'm going to pick him up, grab him by the armpits and pick him up and then put an arm under his butt so that he's kind of sitting on it like I'm his uncle or something.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
Like,
sir, what are you doing?
Oh, we were very worried about you. Listen here, you little shit.
Oh, such language, sir.
If we see you again and you're causing problems, we're going to have problems. Do you understand that?
Oh, yes, 1,000 pardons.
You see how, very unfortunately, the wheels of justice here don't turn in the right direction for the locals?
Yes, I'm very much aware, sir.
Okay.
Can you please put me down now?
What? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. You're going to take my wallet, and you're going to slip it into my coat pocket here.
And you feel you don't really notice his hands. You don't notice his hands move. He kind of leans in to give you a hug. Oh, uncle, I'm so glad that you are here. And you feel something slide into your pocket.
Okay. Then I'll say yeah, it's so good to see you. I'll put him down. I'll take the wallet out.
You notice that 20 monies are missing.
That's fine. I will make a sign of giving him another money and say, hey, we are going to need help. So if you'd like to come by this honestly, and then just hand it to him.
Oh, yes. Ahmed is at your service always. All you have to do is whistle and Ahmed will be there. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And he runs down the street, and as he gets to the end of the block with his friends and he shows them all the monies that he has, they all turn and laugh and they all start making some kind of rude noises your way, and they all take off.
Okay.
So also outside of the theater, there are vendor stands. Maybe you can buy some coffee or some tea, or you can look at trinkets that some people are selling. Maybe they're souvenirs related to the show, or you notice that there's some of them are hand-carved trinkets, some talismans. Oh, yes, a talisman to protect you. Beware of the ancient sands. Trinkets for all. Come and get.
Do the talismans look like they might have power?
Well, let's see. So you peruse, and so there are necklaces, there are pendants, there are little trinkets that you can hold. Some of them look very worn. Some are made of stone. Some are made of wood. Some are made of reeds from the river. You can see an Eye of Horus amulet. You can see some scarab beetle amulets. These are made out of stone, and they have a metal inlay on them. This man, as you see, Doc, as you're looking at the scarab beetles, he picks one up and shoves it into your face and says, very good quality. Protect you. You see some Ankh charms. The Ankhs represent the key of life. You can find them really all over Egypt. If you've read anything about Egypt, you know that this is a pretty familiar symbol. There are something called Djed pillars. the symbol of stability and endurance. Very good for you as he tries to push it on to Blisco. There is Bess, the dwarf god associated with protection, music, and dance. And you also see a snake wand, Heka snake wands. These are going to be little short, like 4-inch little carved, intricate pieces of wood that look like snakes that kind of weave in and out around the stick itself. And it's very intricately carved and polished. These are believed to have protective and healing properties. There's also an Isis knot, which is, it resembles the Ankh, but it's also usually associated with the goddess Isis. Again, another protection trinket. They've got many of these all around the stand. And the man says, "Oh, you don't like this one? Try this one. Try this one. Very good on you. This will look very good. Only one monies.
Might have a bit of a proposition.
Oh, yes.
Well, actually, directing this more to you, Stephen.
Okay, go ahead.
I got this talent, Bizarre Insight.
Okay.
Your mind often shows you glimpses of things you couldn't otherwise know. Once per scene, you may ask to generate one threat to obtain information without passing a skill test.
Ooh.
Okay. So what?
So if
you can give me a threat. I will add one threat to my pool. What is it? One question. You can ask one question.
Do any of these trinkets seem like they would be of genuine, potent, and beneficial effect?
So here's the thing. These are not ancient artifacts. These are artifacts that were probably carved in a shop around the corner and distressed to look old, but you can't really tell that there's any power. That being said, power is often within the mind, right? So if you believe, then perhaps there is power within these charms, but probably not.
How much for the Eye of Horus?
For you, good sir. 2 monies, sir.
I'll give you 1.
1 3/4 monies.
I'll give you 1.
Sir, this is a very fine quality charm indeed. He reaches over to a smaller, less interesting Eye of Horus. This one, 1 monies. This one, and he holds up the nice shiny one to you. 2 monies.
I hand him 1 money.
You hear a voice from behind you. Don't waste your money. And you can turn and you can see Monty Smith is walking up, Sanjay at his side. These artifacts are nothing more than baubles and trinkets made to entice gullible tourists like yourselves. Genuine artifacts. Real power. Those are much more rare, and he's looking at all the trinkets, just making sure, double checking that none of them are anything of worth value. They're much harder to come by, and he kind of tosses them back. I didn't think I was going to see you boys here.
Well, you know us bad pennies.
Did you get everything that you needed for the trip?
Rusty's getting it.
Very good. Rusty's a good guy.
So we've heard.
Yeah. Oh, and then Sanjay pipes up again. He's 16. Yeah, we're gonna go check out this magician fella. He says he's big stuff, but Dr. Smith here says that he's just small potatoes.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah. See you inside. And he just kind of walks. Everybody's standing in line, and he just kind of walks to the front of the line and walks in like he owns the place, and hands everybody, hands the person at the gate his ticket and just walks through. There are people that are coming up to you asking for monies, beggars looking for monies. There are people trying to sell things to you, and especially the more well-dressed the people are, the more people try to push up and try to sell them products, sell them things, or ask for monies.
Sure.
Blisco, you are standing in line. What are you thinking of all of this commotion and activity?
There's so much going on.
There is a lot going on. This is probably, I wouldn't say it's packed. It's just very crowded. You've certainly been in big cities like Paris and like Amsterdam, so you've seen large crowds, but this feels like a crowd of chaos. Like there is no order here. People don't walk on one side of the sidewalk and allow others to pass. People will just like ants everywhere, just scurrying about. And as you're standing there, Blisco, a person who's dressed in all black with a cloak pulled high over their head so you can't see their eyes walks up to you, and he looks around, and then he says to you, "I see you're come to witness the spectacle of the great NATO. Beware, for appearances can be deceiving. The man behind the curtain is far more than he seems. They say he can peer into the minds of others and see the future, but do not be fooled." And he kind of taps you on the chest. "The truth is far darker, and even his greatest tricks may be mere illusions to hide a more sinister purpose." And he grabs you by the shirt and pulls you really close. "And what of those who dare to question his methods and his motives? They say those who are too curious, those souls vanish without a trace, as if swallowed by the very darkness they sought to expose." And he steps back.
Why are you trying to tell anybody?
"A warning. Do not take his words at face value. Question everything that you see and hear. There are forces at work here that are beyond the understanding of mere mortals. Tread carefully, and remember that even the most magnificent of shows can hide the darkest of secrets." And then you hear a police whistle, and he looks around very quickly, and he scurries off away from the approaching police officers, who then come in and start breaking up the crowd of beggars and people that are, I wouldn't say accosting, but who are bothering the patrons waiting to get into the Heliopolis Theater.
I'm going to check all my pockets.
Okay. What are you going to roll to check your pockets?
Pocket check.
Pocket check. Something really simple. This will be what are you guys at?
Insight plus pants knowledge.
Well, you're already at your maximum momentum. But I would probably say you would need to check reason plus observation. It would probably be the one to do.
It was that or insight plus observation, because I don't see any other skill that
Yeah. Just a quick pat down. 2 successes.
Hey,
You're at maximum momentum. That's okay. But you notice that nothing appears to be missing. This person was just, I don't know. It was a very strange encounter. The cloak that the person was wearing was kind of ragged. The face was covered, so you could only just hear the whisper of this craggly old person.
I'm gonna nudge whoever was closest to me at the time and be like, "Did you catch all that?"
What was that? I didn't even understand him.
Said the magician guy is more than what he seems and less. Oh,
are you talking about the great NATO? This is a kind of a heavier set woman standing in front of you with her husband turns around suddenly and wants to engage into the conversation with you.
Well, yeah. What other magician would I be talking about right now?
Oh, have you seen his shows? We went last week, and it was most fantabulous experience we've ever seen. It was much better than Houdini. We want to see it again and again.
Oh, no, we just got into town.
Oh, my, then you are in for a treat. He does these things where he levitates objects throughout the theater. And then the husband is like, "Yes, quite. He also does a thing with fire that is quite amazing. Again, much better than Houdini. We want to see it again and again."
Well, isn't Houdini just an escape artist?
Oh, Houdini says he's much more than an escape artist. But the Great NATO is probably the best we've ever seen.
Well, this should be fun then.
Yes, quite. It will be quite the experience. I'm sure you will want to come back and see it again and again. And the line now starts to move forward as you enter the lobby of the theater. And the lobby is just as ornate as you would expect it to be. The walls are adorned with frescoes and gold leaf accents depicting scenes from Egyptian mythology and history. The columns look like the reeds from the river, and it's all painted in golds and reds and some blues. Everyone is standing around on very plush, lush carpeting throughout the place as people in corners stand pulling on strings that if you follow the ropes up, or the ropes all the way up to the ceiling, you can see that those are moving some bamboo fans that are causing some circulation around the room and keeping the place a little bit cooler, not a whole lot cooler, but a little bit cooler than before. Around the top of the lobby, there are posters showing the great Nate O in action. You can see him shooting flames from his hands. You see him opening up a box and it says the mysterious vanishing woman. And let's see, who has not used their Valentino.
Yeah.
You also see all over these posters are symbols from all over the place. Oh, look, right there. There's the symbol for the luminaries.
Yeah, there's that one again.
Yeah. Yeah. You can also see there's a eye in the pyramid. There's a rosy cross. There's a trident with a lightning bolt. You say or do anything when you notice some of these? Of course, there's Greek and Roman symbols there for the various gods. There's a Masonic symbol. There's also a symbol that looks like the black sun.
Oh, that's a little disturbing. Yeah, no wolf heads or anything.
No, you don't see any of the wolf paws.
Wolf paws, yeah. Well, I don't know. I just kind of assumed the guy's fancying up his posters, just taking symbols from any old random occult thing he can get a hold of.
Okay, that's what you're thinking, or is that what you're saying?
That's just what I'm thinking.
Okay. As you're standing there looking up, Dr. Smith walks up next to you. He's got a drink in his hand. Could be alcoholic. You can't tell. It's a brown drink in a clear glass. I see you noticed all the symbols on the posters, huh?
Yeah, a few of them are recognized by me.
Oh yeah, the lion, that's pretty common. The eagle, that's pretty common as well. Yeah. Oh, there's the Rosicrucians cross. Yeah, that one's pretty typical. Of course, there's Greek and Roman gods all over the place.
I point out the luminaries one. Does that mean anything?
And he takes he looks at that one and he's like, not too familiar with that, although it looks to be a combination of symbol for Jupiter mixed with the Christian cross. It's definitely more recent if I were to try to pinpoint a specific time period this symbol came from. Of course, symbols are powerful just in themselves, and you can tell he's starting to get into his lecturer mode as an archaeology professor. So you see this one over here. This is the Rosicrucians cross. Of course, that's the Knights Templar and everything that happened with them. Over here, you can see there's the Greek symbol for fire. There's also the symbol for Mercury over there as well. And then he points into the far corner, and unfortunately, there is a swastika over there. He says, "Well, that symbol right there would be more, Hindu and Buddhist and Jainism related before, the Nazis have
co-opted,
abused it for their own power." And you hear Sanjay just in the back, "Nazis, we hate those guys." There's an oak tree. There's a Mjolnir right there. Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
Does it go anywhere near the Black Sun one?
Yeah, I was going to point at that one and go, what about that one? Is that one you recognize?
Okay, yeah. So the Black Sun symbol. This was a symbol used by a cult somewhere between, from what we've been able to determine, somewhere between 20 BC and the 5th century. So it's kind of a long time span there. Let's see. It's kind of an obscure cult, but it is part of my my Roman scholarship. And he kind of looks at you like, remember when you tried to call me out about how I should only be studying Roman and Greek archaeology instead of being in Egypt? Yeah, so this cult, this Black Sun cult, seemed to worship something called Yog-Sothoth, apparently some kind of an elder god that resided outside of our reality. It was put down by a Roman legion. And then he looks around and he's scanning all the symbols and he's like, yeah, there's the symbol of the Roman legion right there. It's an eye surrounded by a circle of flames. That's their symbol right there. Man. And he's really just takes a moment as he takes a sip of his drink and he's looking around and he's like, this great NATO is certainly throwing everything at the wall. And then he kind of nudges you literally.
Yeah, that's the impression I've been getting.
Yeah, the symbols themselves would hold a lot of power to those who believe in it, but it looks like he's just trying to build credibility by throwing everything up there and seeing who might recognize the symbol, and then that will create some kind of powerful connection between him and them. Altogether, though, kind of speaks of desperation.
Yeah.
Certainly makes for a great show, though, huh?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
I just caution to maybe keep an eye out for that Black Sun one. We've
why is that?
Seen it in use recently.
Recently, really?
Yes. By
Where?
Certain Germanic individuals.
The Nazis?
Yes.
We hate those guys.
Yes. So, if you see that around, I guess maybe let us know so that we can be prepared.
He scratches his chin. He's got like a day's growth of beard there. Huh. Germans and Black Sun. Well, the Roman Legion did fight the Black Sun in the Germanic region during that time. Of course, the Romans were fighting a lot of people all over the world trying to claim territory, but Black Sun and Germans and Nazis. Interesting. Come on, Sanjay, let's go find a seat. Thank you. And he kind of shakes his glass and he kind of sets it on a tray of somebody else who's carrying a bunch of glasses with filled drinks walking by. He just sets the empty on there and keeps walking. You guys going to do anything while you're waiting in the lobby? People are starting to slowly filter into the theater.
Shall we go?
I might get a drink before we go in.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Sure. There is a bar set up, and it seems like they are serving alcohol, although alcohol is somewhat forbidden here just because of religious reasons. But this is a British-controlled sector of the city, so it's probably not as restricted as other places. So any chance that you can get your hands on alcohol, you can certainly do that. There is water, tea, coffee. There's a strange blue drink that everybody seems to be all a gaga for. You know, they just want to get their hands on this blue drink. Everyone is commenting on how good it is as they drink it down. May I help you, sir?
Yeah. You guys serving alcohol?
Yes.
What do you have in the brown but does not set my nostrils on fire categories?
We have a good selection of bourbons and a good selection of whiskeys. And by a good selection, I mean 2 of each.
All right. Well, let me have one. Let me have one of your bourbons.
Okay, so he gets out a glass, he pours you a bourbon, and he's got a little twist of lemon right there, and he slides it over to you. That'll be 1 money, sir.
I'll pay him 1 money.
Yep.
Okay. Next.
What are the odds you can make me a brown derby?
Yeah, 1 moment, sir. Looks behind him, flipping. You can see him flipping through some cards. I think we can do that, sir. And he whips it up very quickly for you and hands it over to you. You, sir. That'll be 1 money, sir.
I'll pay him his
I'll
1
keep
money.
track of this. Yeah.
Okay.
What's that blue thing?
It's it's something the great Nate O insisted to have at the show, and he leans over the counter to you. He wants to say that it's a mystical drink, but it's just lemonade with a bit of food coloring.
It's great for cleaning
Well,
cars.
I like lemonade.
All right. He hands you a tall glass with ice, which is really surprising.
Ooh.
And it's got lemon. It's got this blue drink, and on top is a little lemon just floating, a slice of lemon floating at the top of the drink. It'll be 2 money, sir.
Hand
Okay.
over the 2 money.
Okay. And finally, you, sir.
I'm good. Thank you, though.
Are you sure? We've got water, tea, coffee.
Yeah, I could go for a tea.
All right. Hot, cold?
Cold.
By cold, he means tepid. Room temperature.
Okay.
Temperature.
Something that's been sitting out for an hour.
Yeah, I'll take it cold.
Okay, so he slides you a mug of tea that is not hot, but it's certainly not cold.
Thank you.
Sure. Blisco, would you roll me
Mm-hmm.
would you roll me a
Saving throw.
reason
Okay.
reason plus medicine difficulty of 2.
I'm gonna hijack one of the momentum on this
Okay.
Yeah.
since we've got so many.
1 success on 2. 19, I think, is technically a complication, but boy, oh boy, does this lemonade sure taste good. It is probably the best lemonade that you have had. It is probably sweetened by the nectar of the honeybees that reside in the area. Oh, it is the most delicious lemonade you've ever tasted, and you don't even care that it's blue. You sure kind of want another lemonade. If there's time. But now the lights flash, and you head into the theater. It's time to take your seats.
Dun, 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 dun.
So again, the theater itself is very, very large. It is a very big, ornate, luxurious interior. It's got high ceilings, grand pillars. The stage itself is a large crescent-shaped stage, so it comes out towards you. It's framed by plush velvet curtains of deep crimson, almost the color of dark blood. There's elaborate hand-carved wooden, there's a proscenium arch that surrounds the stage. The seating is rather interesting because instead of what you would assume would be like normal theater seating, it's small tables, almost like you're there for a cocktail party or something, where the table's small enough to sit 6 people around a table. Everybody, though, can very easily turn and face the stage when it comes time for the performance, and the tables and chairs have been arranged in a way that there is not a bad seat in the house. You can kind of see everything on the stage. There's not like, even if somebody sat down in front of you with a really tall hat and they were, dismissing decorum and not removing their hat inside the theater, heathens, they would not be in your way. There is a pit in front of the stage where you can see some musicians starting to warm up, and you can see a conductor, and you can see some violins, a piano player, a flute player, somebody who's on percussion. They've got a very nice small setup as the music starts to play. As people enter the theater to sit down, the chairs are incredibly comfortable when you find a seat. Where in the theater? So there's the back of the theater, the middle of the theater, and then the 2 rows right in front of the stage. Where would you like to sit?
I feel like a middle of the theater kind of guy, but
middle's fine. Yeah.
All right. So you find in the middle, right in the middle, there are already some people that are there, and they're kind of being rambunctious. Maybe like they've had one too many whiskeys before the show started, and they're probably not the best people to want to sit by. But you notice off to the right, there's a empty table just waiting for you to sit down. You're at least 2 tables away, or at least 1 full table away from the rowdy bunch in the center.
Okay,
good.
Somebody comes by, gives you, takes a drink order from you, sets out water for you if that's what you want. People seem very excited. There's a nervous energy about the place as the music starts, as people are very excited about the show beginning. And you, if anybody wants to look around and see if you recognize any people in the place.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We already
In the
met
back-
Clark Gable.
in the very far back left corner, opposite from you, a couple of rows back, is Dr. Smith and Sanjay. They are at a table by themselves. The tables have little candles in front of them to offer just a little bit of light, some mood lighting to help create a kind of a spooky atmosphere in this place. But it looks like Dr. Smith has blown his candle out so that people can't see where he's at. And he looks to just be observing everything. A couple of people walk up like they want to sit down, and he kind of waves his hand at them, and they stand up a little bit straighter, and they turn and they walk somewhere else and grab a table nearby. Sanjay just kind of punches Dr. Smith on the arm and shakes his head. As you're sitting there looking around, a very beautiful strawberry blonde woman comes up to the table and sits down with you. Hello, gentlemen. It's good to see you again.
Yes.
Hello.
You recognize her as Lizelle Bohm that you had met the night before or earlier in the evening at the Cafe of Kings.
What's her last name?
Bohm, Bohm.
Okay.
So, I understand you're going to the Forbidden City. She's kind of got it's hard to place the dialect. It sounds somewhat German, but also somewhat Swiss.
Yeah, sounds like we may have a bit of a detour before then, but that's the plan.
Well, I was thinking, I'm doing my doctoral research on the Forbidden City, and I think we should team up.
Many hands make for light work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine by me. I was actually going to try and find you since you know Jacob so well.
Yes, I've spent several evenings with Dr. Jacobs. I've been learning everything I can about the city and its mysteries from the only person who's ever been there before, and of course lived to tell about it. He shared some insights and experiences that I think will be invaluable to my research and to whatever it is that you're looking for.
I'll look over at Blisco and Doc and be like, everybody okay with this?
More the merrier.
Mm.
All right.
What's the worst that could happen?
Well, I know that some people just wouldn't want a woman along. I can't hold my own, though, when things get tough. I know how to navigate difficult terrain. I will help you. I know I will.
That's great. You don't have to keep selling us. You're in.
Oh, thank you. And you can just see this great sigh of relief kind of wash over her, like she thought that this was going to be a very tough
Sell
to you guys because, she's a woman. You're,
Nope. I was straight up trying, after this, assuming that, we didn't get yeeted into another dimension or whatever. To go find her and see if we could bring her along. So I'm like, oh yeah, here's somebody who has Jacob's, some of Jacob's knowledge without being like a drunk old man that we have to worry about.
Mm-hmm,
So yeah.
Why would you say yeeted into another dimension right in front of Steven?
Oh, whatever. You said what did you say?
What's the worst that can happen?
What's the worst that can happen? Well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, that was
that is amongst the worst that could happen. It is not the worst.
There's a sudden shimmer and a portal opens up and hands reach out and grab Doc and suck him through to the other side and he's never seen again.
Your character on the Lost in Time and Space spot.
Yeah, you have to wait until the next turn to see if you come back to Arkham.
Yeah.
I was going to ask something else, but then we went off the rails. So I'll think about it.
Okay. Well, the sands are rather, precarious. Rails would actually help us.
Oh, I know what I know what I was going to do. I was going to flag somebody down and make sure that they take her drink order.
Oh, thank you very much. She kind of gives you a smile and kind of sits up a little straighter.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, if someone comes to grab drink orders, absolutely more lemonade.
Okay. They are more than happy to bring you a lemonade. And you can tell that many other people in the audience are drinking this blue concoction.
You guys should try this. This is the best I've ever had.
Can I smell it?
Well, if I could bum a few ice cubes off of you, that'd be nice.
Sure.
Okay.
Do I feel like there's anything weird about the blue, Steven?
Well, hold on just a second. A very snooty woman at the table oversees Valentino reach into Blisco's cup and pull out a couple ice cubes and drop him into his tea. And she's just turns around and turns her nose up in the air like, oh, I never kind of attitude like, oh, my goodness, how rude. All right. What did you want to do, Matthew?
I wanted to see if I felt like there might be anything unusual about the best lemonade in the world.
And what would you do to determine that?
I would probably sniff it utilizing my medicine powers to see if it might be heroin. Or
okay. Well, medicine plus what? Brawn? Medicine plus coordination?
Brawn? This sounds like a medicine plus reason to me.
Okay, a medicine plus reason, difficulty
Yep.
3. We're going to make this a difficulty 3.
All right. Can I
By
burn
all
a
means, yeah,
premise
take a
stat?
momentum, yeah.
Yeah,
All
sure.
right, I'm
You
going
can
to
take a
burn a
momentum.
premise stat. I'm going to burn a premise stat. Hang on. Oh, medicine, you say?
Mhm. And again, remind me, what are your focuses in medicine?
My foci in medicine are first aid.
Okay, that doesn't help here.
Second aid.
Nope, that doesn't help here either.
Surgery.
And finally,
doesn't-
lemonade.
Lemonade. Yeah, because I know that if someone is really thirsty and also bleeding, you give lemonade and then second aid.
Yeah, no. So
wait.
none of your foci will help you here.
None of my foci will specifically do
Yes,
it. But
you
for
will,
instance,
you will be
if there's
foci.
something in there, that is overtly like medicinal or
if it
drugs
was-
or
Well, you're going to have to roll to find out.
yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
But again,
Scrap pow, 2 successes and a complication.
2 successes and a complication. You needed 3 successes to
Three
succeed.
successes and a complication.
That's true.
That is a
Oh,
one.
that's right.
On a complication.
Pow!
Yeah.
3 successes and
Wow.
a microphone.
Okay.
Good
3
work, Matthew.
successes, 3 successes and a complication.
Yep.
You smell it. It certainly smells like lemonade. Certainly smells like there's some honey in there as well. You may detect a faint odor of like a
Lysergic acid or
no, probably more along the lines of some kind of a cleaner, something that would, have you ever smelled like water that has gone through a purification process?
yeah.
It has a weird ozony smell to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it kind of smells like that.
Hmm.
But now that you've taken a big whiff, you want a lemonade too.
Oh. It is Barbasol. Okay.
Try it.
I'm
It's
gonna
so
flag
good.
somebody down. I'm gonna
Sure. The
order
the
myself
waiter
a
comes
lemonade.
back. The waiter comes back and he brings 3 lemonades.
3.
And yeah, one for you, one for Lizelle, one for Blisco.
Ah. I'm gonna drink the Kool-Aid. I mean the lemonade.
All right.
Oh no.
You start to do that, and the drums start to beat on the stage. And remember, there's a lot of things going on, so this is your chance for you guys to use your skills. Some of you are doing quite well on this so far. But yes, the drums and the music swells, and the lights on the stage start to dim, and the first act begins. The stage is bathed in a dim, eerie light, casting an atmosphere of anticipation and suspense, and everyone quiets down in the theater. The first magician takes the stage. She's dressed in a long black cloak. Her eyes are lined with kohl, and she exudes an aura of mystery as she starts to move gracefully across the stage. And then she starts to move her hands in a circular motion, and the circular motion starts out very small, and then the hand motions get bigger and bigger and bigger until finally, across the other side of the stage, ghostly apparitions appear as if out of thin air, and they start to dance gracefully around the stage along with the beat of the music from the lone violin that has started to play. Everybody watches with wonder as they weave in the darkened spaces, seeming to be unaffected by the laws of the physical world. The magicianess, I guess, or magician, she walks across the stage, and she appears to be walking in front of and behind the apparitions, and you can, when she walks behind the apparitions, you can see through them, and you can see her on the other side as she continues to kind of conduct these ghostly spirits with her hands, and they start to move and dance and do things until finally. Go ahead.
Any way to like determine what she's like?
Yeah, like can we tell?
Like
Sure. What would you like to, what are you trying to figure out?
I would like to try and utilize my engineering to see if like there's something set up that she's controlling.
Like a
Yeah. Do it. And let's see what you got. You've got an engineering plus probably reason or insight.
I'll go with reason.
Okay. Difficulty of 2.
Additionally, do we still have a bunch of momentum? We
You
have
got
6.
6. You can take one.
Yeah, I'll take one. Also, I have a focus in mechanical engineering, if that helps in this situation at all.
Yes, I think that it would.
Gross.
One success. All right.
Oh man.
These are pretty detailed, spooky ghost things. But you remember that when you were a few years younger, a traveling magician came through Nebraska and he put on a show, and you were lucky enough to go backstage at the end of one of the performances, and you saw a tilted pane of glass, and the magician kind of told you in confidence to never say anything to anyone, that this is how he makes ghosts appear on the stage. He called it the Pepper's Ghost Effect. This kind of feels like that, but you don't know for sure because the way she's weaving around these ghosts, that's a pretty big piece of glass on the stage for her to be able to do this, and for nobody to have noticed it.
Huh.
She steps away from the ghosts, and the music starts to crescendo as the ghost dancing starts to get a lot more frenetic, and she's spinning, and her robes and the cloth that wrap around her are spinning wildly and all over the place. And then finally the music cuts out, the ghosts disappear, and she's standing alone on the stage, and everyone starts to applause. Ah, ooh, ooh, and she takes a bow and she exits. Yeah. What'd you guys think of that act?
I have an idea as to how that might have been done.
But
that doesn't seem like that. There's not enough space for.
Well, these guys seem to seem to have a pretty good budget. So whatever it is you're thinking, imagine what if you could like hang it from the ceiling, or you know what I mean.
Oh,
I'm sure they're working with much better stuff than some of the magician shows that we've seen in the States.
The music swells once again, and you hear the rumbling of the timpani, and you hear, and a man dressed in the garb of an ancient Egyptian priest steps forward. His face is concealed by an ornate mask, and he begins a ritual. And as he starts to chant, you see an assistant bring out a flaming cauldron at the very front of the stage, and he starts to throw powders in, and we see these colors pop up into the skies. And by the look of them, it looks like there's faces in that smoke as it starts to rise, and you hear some people, a woman in the crowd gasping, "Oh my!" and you hear some other people going, "Oh my!" Just kind of freaked out by this stuff about what they're seeing, and the tempo starts to increase, and his incantations start to rise, and the room starts to get to a really big crescendo, and suddenly he throws in something else into the fire as he screams something, and then ba-boom! There's a big flash of white light that erupts on the stage, and as the light fades down, you see standing now in the middle of the stage a giant statue of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of the afterlife. It appears to have materialized out of nowhere. And the audience just is like, "Oh, yes. Oh, this is so good."
That's pretty good.
And you hear somebody say, "Remember when we saw that man from France who tried to make something appear like this? He could only do a little 2-foot totem. This is a giant statue. Oh, this is brilliant. And then you hear somebody say, "I told you this was much better than Houdini." "Oh, yes, 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 yes." And then you hear the music kind of take a weird turn, and you hear the stage kind of give a crack, and the statue starts to tip forward as it's leaning out to the audience, and you hear the man on the stage is shouting something under his mask that you can't hear, and you can hear that he's trying to raise his hands to try to push the statue back. But he feels too weak, and he steps aside as the statue tips forward towards the audience, and you hear people starting to scream and get up from their chairs. Ah! And then the statue miraculously disappears, vanishes from sight. The crowd just for a moment is like, "What the heck?" Two ushers rush up to the front of the stage, near the front of the stage, where a woman has passed out, and they escort her and her companion out of the theater. And the audience is just like, "Oh my goodness, bravo!" You just hear people applauding at how crazy this was. Anybody want to do anything during this performance?
Yes.
Yes, what would you like to do, Doc?
I would like to figure it out. Haha, because science.
What specifically are you trying to figure out?
I'm trying to figure out exactly how clearly that was never there. It was all done with smoke and mirrors. But how, you ask? And I said to myself, back when I was in the ranks of academia, I used to say to myself, we can reason this out.
Okay.
And I actually have a little yellow thingamabob that says science. And so I gotta see. So I'm thinking sciencing it. Yeah. That's
so what are you rolling?
I am rolling science plus academia. No, academia plus the thing. Sorry, my thing won't move back and forth.
Probably one
reason.
Okay, or you can try. What is your academia?
My academia is 2.
No, what's your focus?
Science.
Okay.
Could it be mirrors? Could it be bubbles? Could it be bubble mirrors?
Could be bunnies.
Are we short momentum or are we...
You got 5 momentum.
Okay.
You need 2 successes on this.
I think I will attempt to utilize a momentum because that makes perfect sense, don't you think?
Sure.
I agree.
Sure,
Otherberry, that makes perfect sense.
Only one success. Oh, that's too bad. No, this doesn't look like any science you've ever seen. Your science is all about chemical bonds and the structure of the body and all of this stuff. Giant statues of Anubis and
hey man, those are bodies.
Weights and distributions and that kind of mechanical science. No, none of that means anything to you. But man, this t-shirt tastes good, and boy, that performance was really cool. Even for a moment, you thought you were going to have to rush the stage and help anybody who might be injured when this giant statue crashed down and ruined this performance. It was interesting.
That was wacky.
Yeah. The lights go dim. And as a strange mist rolls across the stage, and another magician clad in a blood-red cloak makes her entrance. She produces an ornate sword and waves it around, kind of like you've seen these people with the acrobats with the big swords, waving them around and swooping them around. It's a very impressive sight. And in case anyone is wondering if this is just some kind of dummy sword that, isn't sharp at all, a couple of assistants come out as she's waving the sword around, and they have small watermelons in their hands, and they toss them up in the air, and she's whoosh, whoosh, and slices the watermelons clean in half, and they fall, boom, cut clean. Another person steps forward, an assistant steps forward and says, "Does anyone have a handkerchief that we may borrow? You give us 1 handkerchief, we promise you will get 2 back." And a man stands up. "Oh, yes, here you go, a handkerchief." And the assistant grabs it and goes up to the stage and is waving it around. And some people applaud because this man was so kind to give his handkerchief for the show. And the assistant kind of flows it in the air and with the sword and slices the handkerchief in half. And the assistant picks up both halves and goes back to the man and said, "See, 2 handkerchiefs." And the audience kind of, and you can hear Lyselle sitting at the table, and she just like guffaws a little bit because this is so silly. And for a third act, this is really kind of ridiculous. And then she stops with the swinging of the sword, and she holds up her finger, and the music stops playing. The room goes silent, and she tilts her head back, and the large sword, it's a very wide sword. She tilts her head back, and the sword goes into her mouth all the way down to the hilt. She stands there for a moment and then whips very quickly. Holy crap. If this sword is as sharp as what you've seen with the slicing of the handkerchief and the watermelons, she probably could have cut herself very, very quickly and very seriously. But it comes out and there's no blood, and she kind of spreads her arms wide, and everybody is applauding onto this. And she holds up her hand one more time, and everybody stops applauding. And another assistant steps forward and says, "We require 1 more volunteer to come to the stage." And a young woman raises her hand. "I will do this. and they welcome her up, and the audience is applauding because that's what you do when someone is being an assistant from the audience, and even the assistants on stage are clapping, and they bring the woman forward, and the woman dressed in the blood red cloak walks up to the woman and whispers something into her ear, and then with 2 fingers touches her forehead and pushes her back, and she falls back stiff as a board and is caught by 2 assistants standing behind her. As they hold her up, the 3rd assistant walks up, grabs her legs, and they hold her straight out, and she doesn't sag at all. Her body is straight and rigid, and they hoist her above their heads, so she is well above everyone on stage. And the magician steps underneath with the sword and holds it the point of it right under the woman's back. And then she looks at the assistants very seriously, and she looks at the audience and puts her finger to her lips and shakes her head. And then suddenly the assistants step back, and the woman, still stiff as a board, is balanced right on the point of the sword. And the audience is like, and the whole place erupts in noise. And at that point, you see the woman on stage kind of, her eyes go big, and she's like, no, like her concentration has been broken from all the noise. And the woman falls, and the sword goes right through her stomach and out the other side. And there's blood spurting out. And you hear the audience, no! Ah! And you hear people just freaking out all of a sudden as the assistants rush over to the woman who is now lying on the floor with a sword sticking out of her. One of them quickly produces a giant cloth, almost like a sheet or a carpet, and whips it over the woman. And everyone sees the outline of this woman lying on the floor with a sword sticking up, the outline of the sword. And the magician is just standing there, look at the very worried look on her face. And she again puts her fingers to her mouth, and everybody quiets down because they just witnessed someone die in this act, right? Assistants are kind of freaking out on the stage, and she just puts her fingers to her lips to quiet everyone on the stage. And then she puts her 2 fingers from each hand on the sides of her temple and closes her eyes. And you see her head tilt back. She's muttering something that's very hard to hear. You'd think that this nice theater built in 1887 would have better acoustics than this. But she tilts her head back, and then her arms go straight down to her side, and she tilts and looks at the audience, and her eyes are completely white, no pupils, and her eyes are big, and there's no pupils. And she kind of very stiffly turns toward the body on the floor covered in the cloth and the carpet. She grabs the carpet and yanks it away, and there's nothing underneath. And you hear gasps from the audience, like, what was this? What is going on? And suddenly some stage lights come up near the front of the stage, and the lights are starting to sweep across the audience. And then it stops where the young woman was sitting at her table, and she's sitting there alive, without any blood, without any punctures. She stands up, waves, and takes a bow, and everybody just loses their mind at this act. This would have been the best thing that has ever happened in any magic show had this been a normal magic show. But this is only the 3rd act, ladies and gentlemen, because now the stage goes dark and we hear distant thunder. The energy in the room at this point, people have seen so amazing things during the show, as the star performer comes along and a single spotlight illuminates the center of the stage, revealing the Great NATO. He is a very dark man, and he's wearing a long flowing robe made of deep crimson fabric. It's adorned with intricate golden signs and sigils. His robe drapes around his body as he seems to shimmer on the stage as if he's infused with some kind of hidden energy. Under his robe, you can see the Great NATO wearing a fitted tunic and trousers, both made from rich dark fabric that emphasize the ancient motifs on his robe. The tunic is also very elaborately and ornately embroidered with esoteric symbols and mystic motifs. You can, if anybody looks around at this, people are mesmerized at what they see. Dutch, if you would, please roll an observation plus insight, difficulty 2.
It was difficulty 2. I'll take a momentum.
Okay. 3 successes. Very good. So as you look around, as people are just mesmerized with the appearance of the Great NATO on stage, you see that Lizelle, Blisco, and Doc seem to be just more focused on what is going on the stage than anyone else. The Great NATO twirls around, and he's got a magnificent turban that's fitted to his head, made of rich, vibrant fabric. It's, again, got intricate weavings on it. The fabric is just probably very, very expensive, probably one of the finest silks that have ever been seen. The colors are deep and mesmerizing. And beneath the turban, looking out into the audience, are the Great NATO's piercing eyes. They exude a sense of otherworldly power, reminding you of the eyes staring at you from the posters that you've seen all over the city. The Great NATO flicks his wrist, and a series of flames shoot out from his hands. And they dance around him, almost like, he moves his hand to his right hand from left to right as it sweeps across, and the flames just kind of follow around him. And you can see he's drawing out intricate patterns with the flames around the floor. He, from the flames from his hand, he appears to throw the flame down onto the floor, and the flames hit the floor, and you can see poof, 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 poof. A series of flames just shoot up all around him, kind of like in a concentric circle. 2 concentric circles, actually, because one is rotating clockwise, the other is rotating counterclockwise as it encircles him. And you can hear people just starting to applaud as exciting as this is. And the patterns are very mesmerizing for what he does. Anyone want to try anything? Do anything? Too many people enthralled by the experience?
I want to cheer.
You clap and applaud wildly at this. This is the most amazing thing that you have ever seen. You've seen some magicians in your time. There's a guy named the Magnificent Drake that you remember seeing in Arkham. This guy puts the Magnificent Drake to shame. I mean, makes him look like a rank amateur compared to what you've seen with just this little bit of pyrokinetic powers. Finally, the Great NATO flourishes his arms out in both directions, and all the flames go out at once, and everybody is very excited about this entrance. And the Great NATO speaks. I am so happy to see you all here tonight. It brings me great joy into my heart to know that I can share the mysteries of the universe with you. Yes, we can control the body. We can control the spirits. We can control matter. We can even manipulate objects from where they rest. And the music starts up very slowly, and you see the Great NATO concentrating. He's got 2 fingers to his right temple, and his other hand is kind of clutched as if he were holding a mysterious ball. And you hear this violin just starting to play very quietly and very softly. And then you notice that none of the musicians in the pit are playing the violin. In fact, the violin appears to be playing itself as the violin rises out of the pit and continues to move back and forth. The bow moves back and forth across the violin, playing an ethereal song that is just mesmerizing. And you hear some people just starting to applaud. And as that happens, a flute starts to play. And again, no one in the pit is playing a flute, as a flute comes floating from the back of the room over the heads of everyone that's there and joins the violin, floating 5-10 feet above the stage. And again, more people are applauding. You hear the tapping of drums as the drum starts to rise. This little snare drum starts to rise, and it's kind of like a little happy, not quite jazzy, but a little bit of jazzy song is starting to play. And it just sounds very nice. And you can hear some people kind of clapping their hands with the rhythm of the drum as it's going. There's only one thing that would make this song better. And that's if a piano would join in. And sure enough, a piano starts to play. And you see the musician stand up and step away from the piano as the piano plays, and it too rises from the orchestra pit and joins the other instruments floating in the air, playing a jaunty song that is making everyone kind of laugh and titter because this is so weird. They're beholding a master of magic who can use telekinesis, mind control to move things around, and he can do this all while creating a jaunty tune that no one has ever heard before. And so there's some applause, there's some tittering as people are just don't know what to do to take this all in. And finally the music comes to an end. And as the music comes to an end, all the instruments settle back down into the pit. And again, more applause.
Are we talking a stand-up piano or a grand piano?
This is like a grand piano. Yeah. This was a pretty big thing. If someone can lift a 500-pound piano and have it play with the power of their minds, oh my goodness, this must be a pretty powerful man. Or perhaps that piano is really not 500 pounds.
Yeah, perhaps the piano is mirrored as well.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's mirrored,
or they're doing something else.
Some very excellent Foley work.
Could I try and do the whole?
Yeah, you can.
Are you sure he's not hypnotized?
I mean, he is enthralled by this. He's going to have to take a 2 successes on this.
All right.
What are you using your engineering again?
Yeah, reason and engineering.
Okay.
With the mechanical focus presumably still helping.
Okay. 2
If
successes.
it is, that is 4 successes.
4 successes. Wow. Okay.
Wow,
Very good.
That'll be
Because you got a 5
I have
on your
4 in
mechanics?
engineering, 5 in vehicles.
Nice. All right. Yeah, this,
Beautiful.
I mean, you never really saw the piano player playing the piano earlier. This could be a fake prop that's been there this entire time. And as an outdoorsy person on the farm, you've gone fishing and you've caught a pretty big catfish in your day and age. And you know that a really good test line, a fishing line, could probably hold the weight of a fake piano and a fake snare drum. And you're pretty sure, even though it's really hard to see from where you're sitting, looking up, you can see that there's these cutouts in the ceiling where spotlights shine through. You're pretty sure that a pretty good puppeteer or a marionette person could be playing the drum and moving the piano around and moving the flute around. And maybe there's some kind of a motor or something in the flute to make the keys open and close. I mean, I don't know. Do any of you play any of these instruments? It might be kind of hard to tell if the actual notes coming out of the flute match the opening and closing of the keys that you're seeing. I mean, it could be done,
set down.
but man, magic sure is cool.
Is there anybody around in the audience that doesn't seem to be buying it?
Oh yeah, you look back where you saw Monty sitting earlier, and you just see him leaning over to Sanjay and whispering into his ear, and Sanjay seems, because again, he's a 16-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He seems very enthralled by what he sees, and his mouth is kind of hanging open and agape, but every time Dr. Smith whispers something into his ear, you see Sanjay kind of like, nod his head in agreement, like, oh, yeah. But then you see him just enthralled with what's going on. There are some people that look kind of bored, but you don't see anybody that's just totally out and out not buying this.
Okay.
The song ends and the great NATO says, I sense there's a non-believer here. I am sensing something. You, sir, and he points to a man in the center of the rowdy group. You're thinking that you don't belong here. And the man stands and goes, that's right. This is my bachelor party. We shouldn't be here. We should be out having fun. Yes, a bachelor party. I see that. You could be across the street in a bar. Yes, that's what I was just thinking. Unfortunately, the bartender there sells bad alcohol, and if you did go there, you would not see your wedding day. And you can hear the audience just gasp. Oh. I sense something else in this theater. A powerful object is out there. And you see him put his fingers to his head, and he's, doing the mysticism reading, symbol that we've all seen before. I sense is there a charm? Necklace? I see a necklace with a face and a blue crystal. And you hear from the back, yes, of course, I've got it right here. And everybody in the audience turns and looks as a spotlight shines upon the policeman that was there when you were accosted by the bad guys in the alley.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, the necklace that the leader of the gang was wearing was this grotesque face with a blue crystal in it, and that the police officer took it off from around his neck. You thought he probably turned it into evidence.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, what is up with that?
So is he here in like his civilian clothes? Is he?
He's wearing. Yeah, he's here with civilian. He's here with civilian in civilian clothes, but he's clearly still that police officer that you saw earlier. And he holds up the necklace. He pulls it out of his pocket and holds it up, and you hear the crowd gasp. And he goes, the great NATO is on stage going, "Sir, we have never met before, have we?" "No, this is the first time I've come here, but I'm going to come again because, man, this is much better than any magic show I've ever seen." And the audience kind of chuckles. And the great NATO is on the stage going, "Quite. Bring me the necklace." And the man starts to step forward. He goes, "No, you do not have to move." And the necklace levitates out of the man's hands and floats up to the stage and lands in the great NATO's hand. "Ah, a medallion from an ancient cult." And you hear the audience gasp. "I have not seen one of these in many years. They say that the cult protects a giant crystal skull that is supposedly holding great power." And Rodrigo, are you still watching Dr. Smith or anything like that?
Yeah, definitely scanning the audience.
Okay, you look back there too, Valentino?
Yeah, I definitely look his way and kind of cock an eyebrow.
Yeah, because you remember he was talking about this in the bar earlier.
Yeah.
And you can tell that he is now kind of sitting a little bit more at attention. And Sanjay seems to be a little hyper, is like patting Dr. Smith on the arm, like, look. This is it. This is what we've been looking for. And the great NATO looks at the medallion and he clutches it in his hand. He just closes the whole thing up in his fist and he says, "This is a very dangerous relic, and anyone who goes searching for it will find nothing." And he opens up his hand and the medallion is gone. And the people are like, "Ah, ooh." And then he snaps his fingers and there are 4 more great NATOs standing on the stage with him, 5 in total. And they kind of all look the same. It all looks like the same great NATO. They seem to have popped out of nowhere. But they all start to do the tricks. One of them starts to levitate things. Another one starts to do pyrokinetics. Another one is staring intently at the audience. And I guess we'll call him the main great NATO, is just kind of standing there with his arms crossed and smiling. And then he snaps his fingers again and they kind of disappear and it's a weird puff of smoke. So you have been here this is an easily an hour and a half's worth of entertainment that has gone by. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you guys have been entertained or not entertained during the show. Who's been entertained and who has been not entertained?
I have been entertained.
Yeah,
It's the best magic show I've ever seen. It's better than Houdini.
Yes,
I
want to see it again
and again.
That's right. What do you think, Valentino?
I'm pleasantly amused.
Okay, Dutch.
Dutch is not entertained, but probably Dutch is like general idea about like stage magic is like I know that it's fake. I don't know how it's fake. And actually the more impressive it gets, like the more like disconnected he gets from it. So at this point he's mostly just like looking around to the audience and like checking doing that thing where you like take another sip of your drink, but it's been like forever, like the drink is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was like entertaining for him, but at some point he kind of like stopped really paying attention to it.
Oh, okay. All right. And then Blisco, you said you were having the time of your life?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Like-
and of course, Lizelle must be having the time of her life as well, because every once in a while, when she sees something that really amazes her, she'll turn around to you, Dutch, and got this big smile on her face, and she'll squeeze your arm like, can you believe this is happening?
Yeah, amazing.
Finally, the great NATO raises his hands, and the ceiling of the theater becomes brighter, and everybody looks up, and they can see planets, like big, giant planets just kind of floating and swirling in space above their heads. And a single spotlight appears on the stage as the great NATO steps forward, and you can see that looks like Saturn. That looks like a Jupiter. That certainly looks like Earth. There's something red. That must be Mars, right? The great NATO steps to the front of the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests from near and far, I thank you for gracing my humble stage with your presence tonight. You have witnessed wonders, mysteries, and illusions that have dazzled your senses. But now, prepare yourselves for a revelation that will pierce the veil of time and expose the true nature of our world. And then you see Mars just simply explode, and it rains down confetti down onto the audience below. My dear audience, I come bearing a message of great importance, a prophecy that must not be ignored. You see, the world teeters on the brink of unprecedented chaos. The dark forces stir in the shadows, plotting the destruction of all we hold dear. And now you see Jupiter explode. And again, it showers confetti down upon everyone. As this decade comes to a close, we stand at the precipice of a great doom. The end of the world draws near, and only those with the foresight to heed my words shall emerge unscathed from the beings from beyond that will penetrate the veil and roam the earth. And Saturn just ba-boom and rains confetti down on to the audience as Earth just remains floating there in the center of the theater. But fear not, my friends, for I bring not only dire warnings, but also hope. To those who are steadfast in their devotion and unwavering in their loyalty, salvation awaits. Together we shall rise above the impending catastrophe and forge a new destiny, one born from the ashes of a world consumed by darkness. And the earth just goes completely dark. And now, there will be light. And you start to see a little pinprick of light on the earth where you guess Egypt would be, and that light spreads out. It's bright and white, and it encircles the globe, and Earth seems to be glowing even brighter than before. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to demonstrate your commitment, to show your allegiance to the cause that will shield us from the ravages of the apocalypse. Step forward and make an offering to the great NATO, an offering that will serve as a beacon of light in these dark times, a symbol of your unwavering faith in the power that can deliver us from certain destruction. And you start to see people appear at the sides of the theater, and they're coming out with baskets looking for offerings, and people are reaching into their wallets and putting money in. Give generously, and together we shall triumph over the forces that seek to tear our world asunder. Let us unite in the face of adversity and rise above the chaos that threatens to engulf us. The choice is yours, my friend. Will you join me in the struggle to preserve our world, or will you stand idly by and watch everything we hold dear is swept away by the tides of doom? And you see the blackness engulf the earth once again, and ba-boom, the earth explodes, this time in a very bright flames. The future lies in your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Good night. And with that, the stage goes dark, and the curtains close, and audiences are applauding as people continue to put money. Some of the more wealthy people you see put large sums of money into the basket as the assistants go through the audience, the ushers go through the audience, and the house lights come on, and you thought you'd be covered in confetti and detritus from the explosion of the planets, but no, there's nothing. This theater looks clean.
Well, that's good, at least.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about glitter getting into your nether regions for 100 years. So as people are applauding and talking about how great the show is, there's an attendant who comes up to you with a basket. Would you like to be saved?
I will take out 3 monies and be like, this is for the group.
Okay. Thank you. And he reaches into his breast pocket and he pulls out a very ornate envelope and hands it to you. This is for you. The Great NATO requests your presence backstage. And the theater is beginning to clear out.
He wants to talk to us, guys.
Let's get back there now.
Immediately, we need to go.
Go.
Run.
All right.
What's the best magic show I've ever seen?
Right?
I just see it again and again.
So
Lizelle, are you gonna?
Oh yes.
Were you planning on
She kind of
heading home,
snaps.
or?
She kind of snaps out. I'll go back with you if that's okay.
Sure.
I cannot wait to meet the Great NATO.
Wasn't that the greatest magic show you've ever seen?
Monty walks up. What'd that guy give you?
Looks like a backstage pass.
Oh, you got one too, and he shows you his envelope.
Well, at least we'll be in good company.
Would it be reasonable for me to open it and see what's inside?
Oh yeah, sure. Open it up.
Okay.
You open up the envelope, and it is a black envelope, and it's got it's just scrolled on the outside in gold lettering, "Welcome," and around the edges on the envelope is this very ornate pattern and design. When you open up the envelope, you take out a black, well, not really black, but a very, very dark red piece of paper, cardstock, and it is printed in gold. Welcome, adventurers. And that's all it says.
Okay. I'll show it to everyone. We're like,
ooh, that's very pretty.
Blizko, do you want to hang on to this?
Sure.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Maybe he'll sign it for you. And,
so you go,
start heading backstage. Yeah.
Backstage, and a man, a big burly man, is standing there, and he kind of tries to stop you because it looks like he's already turned away some other people before. No one backstage.
But he invited us. See?
We have an invite.
Oh, welcome, friends. And he kind of bows down to you. Welcome. And he ushers you back. Go back. The Great NATO awaits you.
Yay.
I could get used to this VIP treatment.
You go backstage and you can see people are moving props around. You see 2 people lifting up and carrying this grand piano across the stage. You see somebody else who appears to be flattening out a piece of cloth that's in a human type shape. It almost feels like this cloth is somewhat bendable or has some kind of a structure in it that creates a wire bending.
Mm-hmm. Are you explaining the tricks? You never explain the tricks. Oh.
I'm not. This is what you guys see.
Oh.
You see some women who are taking off their makeup. You see some men who are kind of laughing and chatting it up as they also remove some stage makeup. And you get back to a room that just simply on the doorway has a big letter O.
Uh-huh.
I'll knock.
Enter.
Go ahead.
You walk into a room it's actually quite large for a dressing room. In the middle of the room is a large table with chairs arranged around it and a large crystal ball in the center. At the far side of the room is the Great Nato, and he's sitting at a giant mirror as if he's taking off makeup, but it's really hard to tell. You see that he has removed his turban and he is just bald-headed, just very bald-headed. Ah ha ha! Welcome, my friends. Welcome. And he stands up and he turns towards each of you, and he goes over to you, Blisco, and he grabs your hand and shakes your hand, and he says, "Welcome, welcome." And then he leans into you and he whispers in your ear, "You are far from home, but do not worry. Your family is doing fine without you. Welcome, welcome." And he pats you on the back. Next up is Valentino. He clasps your hands and shakes your hand. "Welcome, welcome, friend." And he leans in and whispers, "Do not let jealousy cloud your actions. Welcome, welcome, welcome." He gets to Dutch and grabs your hands and shakes. "Oh, I hope you enjoyed the show." And he leans in and he says, "I sense a great conflict within your soul." And then he gets to Doc. "Oh, it's a good to see you, my friend." And he shakes your hand and he leans in and whispers, "There is a dark taint about you." And then he goes over to Lizelle. "Oh, young lady, it is so good to have you here in my presence." And he leans in and whispers something to her you can't hear. And she kind of is startled as she hears this. "Ah, Dr. Smith, I have heard good things about you." And he shakes his hand and leans in and says something to Dr. Smith. And then Sanjay steps up and he's just like probably has got a Guga face as Blisco does, just so excited to meet the Great Nato, and the Great Nato kind of just dismisses him.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
"I trust you enjoyed the show, but I sense there's more to your visit to Cairo than mere curiosity. The fates have brought us together, my friends, and I believe our paths are intertwined." And he gestures to the chairs sitting around the table, and he invites you to sit.
I definitely sit.
Okay. Is there only one way in and out of this room?
Yes.
Okay. I'll sit down.
Okay. Everybody sits.
Yep.
"What brings you to Egypt? Perhaps I, the Great Nato, can offer some assistance, or at the very least, some valuable insight. After all, there's much more to this world than meets the eye. And I am privy to many secrets that remain hidden from ordinary mortals."
Well, we're here as part of a anthropological mission. We're trying to find some artifacts that our employer has been looking for.
Ah, ha, ha, ha. Oh, that sounds very fascinating. What are you looking for? And he turns to Monty. He's just like, "The skull." "Ah, the relic you seek holds great importance for your journey there, Dr. Smith. Yet I will say the path to true knowledge is never a straightforward one. Your quest may take you to the village, but remember, the world can be as fickle as the desert sands, and what you expect to find may not always align with reality. Be prepared, for the winds of fate can shift and leave even the most experienced adventurer as yourself facing disappointment. Stay alert and remain adaptable, for sometimes the answers we seek are concealed beneath the layers of illusion and misdirection. What other questions do you have?" And you see he kind of strokes his chin, and he's got very long, I guess you didn't notice this before, but he's got very long fingers, and he's got kind of really long pointed fingernails for a man.
Sure.
Hmm.
We noticed some symbols on your posters.
Ah, yes. Symbols from cultures and groups from around the world and space and time.
Mm-hmm. Are those just for advertisement?
I venture far and wide, from the plateaus of Ling to the gold mines of your California. My dreams take me to places near and far, and beyond the veil, in fact. And I have encountered these groups all over the world.
Okay.
I think that's a yes.
Can I try to figure out if he's like concealing something or if he's just because I
sure.
kind of feel like that was a yes.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely a yes. But if you would like to see if he's concealing something, that would be what? Reason plus observation? Or would that be will plus observation?
Really isn't like a sense motive. Direct like analog.
Yeah.
So either observation or
that or persuasion. Just
maybe
persuasion. Maybe persuasion. Yeah, why don't you do persuasion? We'll make this one easy. Only a D3 for this one.
Oh, an easy one.
Easy.
Yeah, an easy one.
Okay. I will use my subtle cues
Okay.
talent. So when you make a persuasion test against them, so if you spend some time conversing with or observing someone, you make a persuasion test against them during the current scene, you may reduce the cost of the first D20 you purchased to 0.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and purchase 2 D20s with for 1 momentum total.
Yep.
So that's 4 D20. And then we said, what did we say? Persuasion.
Persuasion plus. I will go with insight, reason, or will. You can use either one of those 3.
I'll go with insight.
Okay. Ooh, one success and a complication.
Yep.
He stares at you as he concludes what he says about the places he's gone and the fact that he's met with these cults, and he kind of locks eyes with you for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something creepy about his eyes. Please roll a will plus resistance D2.
Okay. So I will use my Dauntless talent to buy a D20 for free.
Okay.
Okay. I will spend 1 momentum to buy a 4th D20 then.
Okay.
4 successes.
Oh, wow. Nice. Very good. So you got 1 back. Very good. You feel a pressure behind your eyes as your eyes lock, but you feel like you can brush it away fairly easily. It's almost like he was trying to mesmerize you or something.
Yeah. Dutch. When he like kind of like stares at Dutch is going to give him a winning smile.
Mm-hmm.
And try to mesmerize him back. No, I'm just,
Your human spirit never ceases to amaze me. And he kind of cracks a grin back at you.
Mm-hmm.
You mortals possess a boundless capacity for courage and determination, even in the fate of the most insurmountable odds. It's endearing and inspiring, I must admit. I've found that there's been no greater source of entertainment and wisdom in all of existence than the human spirit. Your experiences, your emotions, and your stories provide a richness that is simply unparalleled. But you must have some specific questions. I sensed it from the stage. Your auras all emanated and lit up like a beacon during the show.
I'll look at I'll look at Smith and see how he's reacting to this.
He's just kind of contemplating what was said about the crystal skull. He's just kind of staring at this guy like he seems to know a little bit too much. He's stroking his chin
Sure.
like this guy knows too much, but at the same time he thinks he's full of dung.
Mm-hmm. I'll say, have you run afoul of any Nazis out here?
Nazis. Foul Germans. But I also appreciate their spirits. Yes. And he closes his eyes and he leans back. I sense them. They are very close. Very, very close.
How close?
I see a base not far from the city, a dig of some kind that they are engaged in. But that is all I can see at the moment. It's almost like they are protected in some way.
Mhm.
And then Lizelle just kind of speaks up. What do you know of the Forbidden City? Ah, an ancient and labyrinthine place full of secrets and hidden chambers. And then he stops and he looks at her. He stops stroking his chin and looks at her. You seek an artifact. Oh. And then he looks at you and he goes at each one of you in turn as he passes each of you, including Dr. Smith and Sanjay. And he starts to laugh. You seek the artifact. Oh, it is hidden deep in the heart of the city. Oh, it is guarded by forces that have kept the city shrouded in mystery for centuries and centuries. And he slaps his hands together and rubs them, and a attendant enters the room with a blue drinks. Ah, refreshment time. And he takes a blue drink and drinks it down. You know, it's just lemonade.
The best lemonade I've ever had.
Of course. Only the best for my patrons. And he clinks glasses with Blisco.
So what's funny about the artifact?
That so many people have wanted it for so many years, and yet every time someone gets close, bad omens befall them. Unimaginable horrors. But catches a glance of Valentino. You might be able to get it.
Well, that's good to hear. We came a long way. I'd hate to turn away empty-handed.
Speaking of empty-handed, and he whips his hands, and suddenly there is a tarot deck in front of him. The tarot will bring you great insight to your further adventures. And he puts the tarot deck on the table, and he spreads the cards all around, shuffling them, because you're not supposed to write, you're not supposed to do the bridgy bindi of the tarot cards. And he puts them back in together into the deck. He gives it to Blisco to cut.
Yeah, cut it.
Okay, he stacks it back up. Who would like to go first?
I would.
Okay, he flips over the first card. It is the Tower. This is a very interesting card. He nods as he looks at it and then looks back up at you, Doc. The Tower represents sudden upheaval, chaos, the potential for destruction. This card should serve as a dire warning to you. Your ability to restore and maintain the well-being of your comrades are going to be tested. You might find yourself in a situation where you may face the possibility of loss. Yes, your choices and actions will determine the fate of your friends, so be prepared for the challenges that lie ahead. Who would like to go next? Yeah, how about me, Mr. Great NATO? Says Monty. He flips over the card, and it is the Magician card. And the Great NATO kind of laughs. This is very good for you, Dr. Smith. The Magician represents skill, creativity, and the ability to manifest one's desires. You are the master of your own destiny, possessing the power to shape the world around you through your knowledge and expertise. Your skills will prove essential in navigating the challenges that await your group. Young Blisco.
Yes.
He turns over the card. It is the Fool card.
Oh.
Aha, the Fool. This card represents the beginning of the journey. Do not look sad. This represents potential for growth and the embrace of the unknown. Ah, yes, in your quest, you will embody the spirit of adventure and curiosity, which will be essential in overcoming the challenges ahead.
Perk up a little.
Yes, yes. Oh, me next, please. Me next, says Lizelle. And again, the great NATO stares right at her very deeply for a moment. Are you sure? Yes, yes. And he turns over the 7 of Swords. The 7 of Swords represents deception, trickery, and the desire to take matters into one's own hands. In your case, this card suggests that there may be hidden motives and agendas at play. This card should serve as a warning to you, not only to you, but to every one of you. It's crucial that you remain vigilant, as not everyone may be as they appear. Yes, he turns to Valentino.
Yeah, let's see what you got.
He draws the High Priestess. The High Priestess embodies intuition, mystery, and the power of the subconscious mind. You possess a unique ability to perceive the hidden truths and secrets that others may overlook. This gift will be invaluable in unraveling the enigmas you encounter on your journey. And you can even see that the great NATO seems impressed by this card, and he looks at you again and gives you a continuing nod and a smile that seems to be smilier and more toothier than any smile that you have ever seen.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind.
And finally, Dutch. He turns over a card. Ah, the Chariot. The Chariot signifies triumph, determination, and the will to succeed. You, my friend, will play a vital role in driving the party forward, harnessing your inner strengths and resolves to conquer the obstacles that lie in your path. The tarot knows. The tarot speaks, but it does not know all that the great NATO knows, and I know that the tarot tells the truth. What about me? And it's Sanjay, who's sitting there kind of still in awe, but also sad that he didn't get a card drawn or even get a shake of the hand. And the great NATO looks at him as kind of like, what is this, pest? Kind of upturned nose. And then Monty kind of leans in and puts his elbow on the table. Yeah. What about Sanjay? And he slides a $10 bill or a 10 monies bill over to him. Very well. And he hesitates as he is about to touch the top card of the tarot and looks at Sanjay. Are you sure you want to know? Yes, yes. Very well. He turns it over and it's the Page of Swords. The great NATO is silent for a moment. The Page of Swords represents curiosity, quick thinking, a thirst for knowledge. And he kind of looks at Sanjay and kind of regards him for a moment. You embody the spirit of youthful enthusiasm and a desire to learn from your experiences. Your sharp mind and keen perception will prove invaluable during your quest, helping you and your companions to uncover hidden clues and adapt swiftly to unexpected situations. And you just see Sanjay just this like, just smiling. And then the great NATO raises a finger. However, this card also cautions you to be mindful of your actions and to think before you leap, as impulsive decisions may lead to unintended consequences. The tarot speaks, the tarot knows, the great NATO knows more, and the tarot knows. Gentlemen, I have taken enough of your time. If you are seeking the Forbidden City, then you will need your rest for tonight. For your adventure will be dangerous and long. And he stands to shake each of your hands again. Thank you for coming to the show. Please tell everyone to come. The more we can save, the better. And as you turn, there is a man standing at the door, opening the door, holding it open, and he is also holding a little basket to accept any monetary gifts. You see Lizelle reach into her handbag, and she pulls out a wad of bills. like a fat stack.
Mm.
And she happily puts it into the basket. When I come back, I will come and see this show again. Yes, I know you will. You see Sanjay kind of reach into his pocket, and he starts to withdraw something before Dr. Smith just kind of grabs him by the scruff of his shirt and kind of forces him out the door.
Mm.
Thank you, Your Eminence. And he gives a very silly, like, curtsy bow, like you would to royalty or to someone of great power. And you can see that the Great NATO seems kind of insulted by this, as you
Sure.
probably would, but this seems to be like somewhat of a great offense.
All right.
And then
well, thank you for speaking with us, and I will like try to herd everyone out and try to make
Yeah.
sure that they don't spend any more money here.
I think the hardest to get out the door is Blisco, who's kind of standing there patiently with this card in his hand.
Oh, sure.
Ah, yes. And he snaps his fingers, and a pen appears, and he scrawls his name onto the card.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Blisco. Have a good night.
And you too.
You exit the theater.
That was
Well,
a great show.
You heard it, critical hit fan artist. Now you have to start putting together a tarot with each of these characters as that card.
That's a good challenge. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yep.
In fact, if you want
The
to
Dark
develop a whole
Tower.
74 deck of this for a tarot deck, by all means, we will print it, we will sell it, we will make it, or at least give it away to our patrons at patreon.com/major spoilers.
Yeah.
Boom.
Any reactions or things that you want to discuss as you go back to the hotel? It is late. This show seems to have gone by so quickly, yet hours have passed. And even though you were in the presence of the Great NATO for only a short amount of time, every single one of you is exhausted. It is past midnight when you hit the streets.
Is Smith walking back with us?
Yeah, he's walking for a ways.
Dutch will say, well, I'll give him this. He's pretty good. I don't think any of us introduced ourselves.
Did you not see the people scanning the streets before the show?
I
Did you
didn't
not
say
see that? Did you see that one guy pressing the cop about his day and what kind of things he's encountered?
I didn't say it was. Yeah, I didn't say it was magic. I just said he was good.
Oh yeah, I'll give him that. He is really good. Probably the best I've ever seen. Although, and he leans in close to you, keep an eye on the girl and the other two, because I think there was something in that drink.
I'm starting to think that you're right.
Something to just loosen the audience up just a little bit to make them more easily parted with their monies.
Yeah,
Something
it doesn't take much.
With certain chemicals, you are correct. I remember when I was in the darkest parts of Africa a few years ago, I was under a hallucinogenic drug given to me by a tribe, and I saw some pretty crazy things.
Oh, yeah. And like Dutch kind of points at himself with his thumb. Absinthe in Bohemia.
He kind of gives you a thumbs up. Been there myself. Well, Sanjay's looking a little tired. We're going to split off here. We'll meet you back at the Cafe of Kings tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Lizelle, where are we taking you?
Oh, I'm staying at the Cafe of Kings as well. There's rooms upstairs.
All right.
That's convenient.
Yes. And she kind of gives a little cutesy smile to Dutch.
So yeah, we'll walk back.
Okay.
Nobody needs to do anything between here and there, right? Everything's closed.
I mean, Valentino did drink a lot of tea.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he has the resilience to hold it.
Well, let's find out. Roll
No.
resilience.
No.
Resilience plus athletics.
And you have to check and see if you have a specialization.
Oh, I definitely know.
Man, Doc, roll medicine plus brawn, D2.
Medicine plus brawn?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Blisco also rolled medicine plus brawn, D2.
Oh, God. Are we going to hurl?
Don't want to.
2 successes.
2 successes. Very good.
Medicine plus brawn. So brawn.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Oh,
Yep,
0
that tracks.
successes. Oh, you
you're going
take
to
a
hurl,
step.
kid.
You take a step and it hits you like a brick. The light even though the streets are dark, the light burns your eyes and you have probably the worst headache you have ever experienced in your life.
Hanging already. Can you imagine how bad the morning's going to be?
It is pretty painful. It is pretty painful. And you look down at the card that's been signed by the great NATO, and it's still very impressive, but maybe not as impressive as it was before. Doc, you seem to be okay.
I've seen some things.
Maybe.
So is
I
he
cannot
like,
throw up.
what's Blisco doing?
I think he's walking with you guys, but what are you doing, Blisco, now that this wave of pain has struck you in the head?
Hand on the head, like leaning forward. Got the other arm, like at whichever one of my compatriots is closest, just to like not lose track of them.
I think the kid had a little too much to drink, boys.
Yeah,
So
Smith was postulating that there was something in that lemonade, and I'm inclined to believe that's the case. I'll basically get an arm, like get Blisco's like arm over my shoulder.
I mean, it's
Hey,
You also see Lizelle kind of stumble for a second. She's like, oh my. Oh. That's a banger. Oh,
well, I've got good news. Chances are, because he wants your money, it's probably not going to kill you.
My money? And she looks into her purse. Oh, no. Critical Hit Punch All Nazis is a production of Major Spoilers Entertainment and was produced and edited by me, Steven Schleicher. You can get a behind-the-scenes making of this specific episode when you check out the GM Roundtable, the Octoon Cthulhu edition, over on our Patreon page, patreon.com/Major Spoilers. What's next for our team of adventurers? Oh, you can only find out and get spoilered when you listen to a new episode of the GM Roundtable over on our Patreon page. We only had one named patron this week, and oh, what a patron! The Great Nate O is, of course, named after the Great Nate O, one of our longest and dearest supporters. Thank you so much, Great Nate O, for all of the support you've given us over the year. I rather liked playing the Great Nate O this week, and again, if you've listened to the GM Roundtable, you know why. Don't forget, we want you to record yourself doing your best on Critical Hit! And send it to us at podcast@majorspoilers.com, and your voice will join the growing chorus of fans you heard at the beginning of the show, just like Quitzel did this week. You don't have to be a patron to send in your recording, and we hope that you send yours in very soon. Questions, comments, jump into the Critical Hit Discord channel. You can find a link in the show notes, and again, thank you so much for listening, and here's hoping all of your dice rolls are critical hits.
This podcast is copyright 2023 by Major Spoilers Entertainment, LLC.